now from the IBA at Winchester, engineering announcements for the radio and television trade.
Hello again, and welcome to another roundup of news and information for the radio and television trade. There's a big gathering of broadcasting clans on the seafront at Brighton later this week. We look at the main issues at IBC 84.
Also, a new independent local radio station in Norfolk, the latest relay stations to have Channel 4, a summary of the week's transmitter announcements, and full details of 3 new television relays, all in Wales, Llangyrnu, Llanengen and Ynys Pennell.
Every 2 years, broadcasting engineers from all over the world come to Britain for the International Broadcasting Convention, known to all in the business as IBC. The 1984 event is due to start in Brighton at the end of this week, and Paul Copel asked Pat Hawker what he expected to find there.
Well, it's a two-part affair. This is the 10th one, and normally speaking, they have a very large number of good technical sessions, but they also have an enormous exhibition, mostly of broadcast studio equipment and transmitting equipment.
I was going to say, actually, that it seems to have concentrated on the studio side. Is there much on receiving, though?
Well, more and more, it is now recognised that the consumer electronics industry is all part of the broadcasting system, and you cannot separate the two. In fact, at least one of the papers in the opening keynote session, which is largely concerned with the economics of broadcasting, is going to be from one of the receiver manufacturers.
Right. There's also going to be an IBA stand, I think. What's likely to be shown on that?
Oh, well, I'm pretty sure we shall be featuring the Mac system. They will be showing video of the systems, explaining how this works and so on. Now, as you know, Mac's been widely accepted in Europe, although there are still debates going on some aspects of the final specification.
And what about other aspects, such as cameras? Is there any development in cameras, for example?
Well, one of the things that people will be interested to see, I believe that one of the American firms, RCA, will be demonstrating a charge-coupled device camera. That is a solid-state sensor. Now, this is the first time that a solid-state camera of broadcast quality has been developed. Admittedly, this is for news-gathering purposes. It's not studio standard yet. On the studio side, the trend has very much been towards automatic cameras, computer-controlled automatic line-up systems.
Now, the first multi-channel cable system opened recently, and although cable isn't technically broadcasting, is there likely to be anything about developments in cable?
Well, there are certainly a number of papers that will be concentrating on things like conditional access. Now, this is a business for subscription television, whether it's via direct broadcast satellite or via cable. Cable has gone quite a way in the last 2 years in the sense that some of the earlier euphoria about the financial prospects of multi-channel cable have rather evaporated, but nevertheless, as you say, there are developments going on, and it is still quite clearly an important development for the future.
We have talked in the past about high definition. Is there anything on this likely to be shown?
Well, there will be demonstrations, both of the 1125 line system and I suspect some of the enhanced systems, some of the use of digital processing in receivers. And of course, we believe that this enhanced type of system, certainly with the Mac system, would be very important in the future. We believe we can get pictures of a resolution approaching 1,000 lines, but still basically using the 625 line system.
So summing up, Pat, what do you think the main themes will be coming out of the 1984 International Broadcasting Convention?
Well, I think the main theme, curiously enough, will be that money matters, that broadcasting is no longer a question of every broadcaster competing to get the very latest technology, regardless of cost. I think people are now having to look at what the cost of new equipment will be, and also whether it will be acceptable industrially. You have all sorts of agreements in the industry, as I'm sure you know, And it's one thing for a manufacturer to develop a new type of system. It's quite another thing to find it acceptable to the broadcasters.
Thank you, Pat. And the IBC exhibition is open from Friday afternoon until next Tuesday evening at the Hotel Metropole in Brighton, but it will cost you £8 to get in. If you can't be there in person, we're hoping to do some video coverage of the highlights to be shown in 2 weeks' time. Transmitter news now, starting with the current batch of existing relays being commissioned for Channel 4. Last week saw the arrival of the new service at 4 more stations. In Derbyshire, Glossop on Channel 32, for about 30,000 people. In the Borders, Innerleithen on 54. In Fife, Octomukti on Channel 42. And in the Tyne Valley, Newton on Channel 29, serving about 16,000 people between Hexham and Prudhoe.
Due this week across in Northern Ireland, Newcastle on Channel 65 for about 8,000 people. And expected next week, Channel 4 from the Weymouth relay in Dorset. This will be on Channel 50 and is for about 33,000 people. Also due next week, Teignmouth in Devon on Channel 67. And it's important that Group E, or wideband aerials, should have been fitted for Teignmouth to get good results on all 4 channels.
And so to special announcements for existing services. In the north of Scotland, Durris continues on reduced power pending the new transmitting aerial due in service in the autumn.
In North Yorkshire, Wharfdale is scheduled off until noon today, tomorrow and Thursday for mast maintenance, but the work is weather dependent.
In Dorset, the Corfe Castle relay is also off today until noon. This is for maintenance on the electricity supply.
Tomorrow, the Hemel Hempstead relay at Bedmond is scheduled off for aerial maintenance until 3 p.m.
There'll be no transmissions from Ooty Bridge tomorrow between 9 in the morning and 4:30 in the afternoon for electricity board maintenance.
The Bournemouth ILR station, 2CR, will have an interruption on medium wave only tomorrow evening between 6 and 11 p.m. This is for aerial maintenance.
Back to Wales, and the Llangollen relay is due off this Friday between 9:30 and 3 for work by the electricity board. And the Whitehaven relay in Cumbria is due to be off next Monday between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m, again for work by the electricity board.
New television relays now, and in North Wales near Llanrwst, the Llangyrnu relay began transmissions last week. It's designed to cover 300 people in Llangyrnu itself, Pentre Isaf, and along the valleys for a mile or 2 from the transmitter. HTV Wales and TVAM provide the ITV programmes on Channel 2, and S4C is on Channel 25. Aerials should be Group A types, vertically polarised. Llangyrnu is now on the air and due an official service this Friday.
Still in North Wales, near Abersoch, the Llanengen relay also opened last week. This station is intended to bring good UHF reception to some 200 people living in Llanengen itself and in Llangean. Programmes from HTV Wales and TVAM are on Channel 61, with S4C on 54. Group CD aerials are therefore needed, but note that they should be horizontally polarised in this case. Llanengen is on the air and due in full service this Friday.
On the boundary between Gwynedd and Dyfed, near Dyfi Junction, Ynys Pennell is now due in a week or 2 after some delays. The station is to extend coverage to over 200 people in Ysgybor y Cerrig, Eglwys Fach, just to the south of the River Dyfi, including an area to the northeast of Dyfi Junction towards Pennell. HTV Wales and TVAM will be on Channel 41, with S4C on 47. Aerials are to be Group B types and vertically polarised. Ynys Pennell is due on the air later next week.
Before we go, a quick word about independent local radio. The service for Great Yarmouth and Norwich began trade tests yesterday, and Radio Broadland's programmes are due from the 1st of October. The frequencies are 97.6 MHz VHF and 1152 kHz, that's 260 metres medium wave. Invicta Sound for Maidstone and Medway and for East Kent is also due soon, but we can't yet confirm an opening date. The same is true of the Northampton service from Hereward Radio. We may have more definite news next week.
And that's it for now. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any queries about independent television or local radio. Our telephone number here at Winchester is 822 444. But if you're in London, you can call our Brompton Road office on 584 7011 and ask to be put through to engineering information. Join us again next week at 9:15 or 12:15. Until then, from Janet Smythe and myself, John Lovell, goodbye from Crawley Court.